Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Jana Ranjana Vraja Jana Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Vraja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Jaya Vraja Jana Ranjana Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Girivaradhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Go Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, I go Premanande Haribo. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunviditam Dina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, the torchlight of knowledge. Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and all his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho, Dinabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute. My dear Krishna, ocean of mercy, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the cowherd men and the lover of the gopis, especially Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnav devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Nitaina mineche namirhate shadamuninam gite che. Nitaina mineche namirhate shadamuninam gite che. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Shri Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Shri Caitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. This chapter is chiefly devoted to describing the essential nature of the glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Lord Krishna is the absolute personality of Godhead, and his first expansion is the form for pastimes. And his first expansion in a form for pastimes is Sri Balaram. Beyond the limitation of this material world is the spiritual sky, Paravyoma, which has many spiritual planets, the supreme of which is Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka, the abode of Krishna, has three divisions, which are known as Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula. In that abode, the personality of Godhead expands himself into four plenary portions: Krishna, Balaram, Pradyumna, the transcendental Cupid, and Aniruddha. They are known as the original quadruple forms. In Krishna Loka is a transcendental place known as Shvetadvipa or Vrindavan. Below Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, are the Vaikuntha planets. On each Vaikuntha planet, a four-handed Narayan, expanded from the first quadruple manifestation, is present. The personality of Godhead, known as Sri Balaram in Krishna Loka, is the original Sankarshana, attracting deity. And from this Sankarshana expands another Sankarshana, called Mahasankarshana, who resides in one of the Vaikuntha planets. By his internal potency, Mahasankarshana maintains the transcendental existence of all the planets in the spiritual sky, where all the living beings are eternally liberated souls. The influence of the material energy is conspicuous there by its absence. On those planets, the second quadruple manifestation is present. Outside of the Vaikuntha planets is the impersonal manifestation of Sri Krishna, which is known as Brahmalok. On the other side of Brahmalok is the spiritual Karna Samudra, or causal ocean. The material energy exists on the other side of the causal ocean without touching it. In the causal ocean is Mahavishnu, the original Purusha expansion from Sankarshana. Mahavishnu places his glance over the material energy, and by a reflection of his transcendental body, he amalgamates himself within the material elements. As the source of the material elements, the material energy is known as Pradhana. And as the source of the manifestations of the material energy, it is known as Maya. But material nature is inert in that she has no independent power to do anything. She is empowered to make the cosmic manifestation by the glance of Mahavishnu. Therefore, the material energy is not the original cause of the material manifestation. Rather, the transcendental glance of Mahavishnu over material nature produces that cosmic manifestation. Mahavishnu again enters every universe as the reservoir of all living entities. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. From Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, the supersoul of every living entity. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu also has his own Vaikuntha planet in every universe, where he lives as the supersoul or supreme controller of the universe. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu reclines in the midst of the watery portion of the universe and generates the first living creature of the universe, Brahma. The imaginary universal form is a partial manifestation of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. On the Vaikuntha planet, in every universe is an ocean of milk. And within that ocean is an island called Shvetadvipa, where Lord Vishnu lives. Therefore, this chapter describes two Shvetadvipas, one in the abode of Krishna and the other in the ocean of milk in every universe. The Shvetadvip in the abode of Krishna is identical with Vrindavan Dham, which is the place where Krishna appears himself to display his loving pastimes. In the Shvetadvip within every universe is a Shesha form of Godhead who serves Vishnu by assuming the form of his umbrella, slippers, couch, pillows, garments, residence, sacred thread, throne, and so on. Lord Baladev in Krishna Loka is Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, Nityananda Prabhu is the original Sankarshana and Mahasankarshana, and his expansions as the Purushas in the universes are plenary expansions of Nityananda Prabhu. In this chapter, the author has described the history of his leaving home for a personal pilgrimage to Vrindavan and his achieving all success there. In this description, it is revealed that the author's original paternal home and birthplace were in the district of Katwa, in the village of Jamatapur, which is near Naihati. Krishnadas Kaviraj's brother invited Sri Minikatana Ramdas. Sri Minikatana Ramdas, a great devotee of Lord Nityananda, to his home. But a priest named Gunardava Mishra did not receive him well, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's brother, not recognizing the glories of Lord Nityananda, also took sides with the priest. Therefore Ramdas became sorry, broke his flute, and went away. This was a great disaster for the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. But on that very night, Lord Nityananda Prabhu himself graced Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in a dream and ordered him to leave on the next day for Vrindavan. Vande Nanda Vaishvaryam Shri Nityanandam Ishvaram Yas Chichaya Tat Swarupam Agninapi Nirupyate. Let me offer my respectful obeisance to Lord Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All glories to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Acharya. And all glories to all the devotees of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Esha Shloke Kaila Krishna Caitanya Mahima Pancha Shloke Kaya Nityananda Tatvasima. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I have described the glory of Sri Krishna Chaitanya in 6 verses. Now in 5 verses, I shall describe the glory of Lord Nityananda. Sava Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tahara Dvitiya Deha Shri Balaram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the fountainhead of all incarnations. Lord Balaram is his second body. Lord Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the primeval Lord, the original form of Godhead, and his first expansion is Sri Balaram. The personality of Godhead can expand himself in innumerable forms. The forms that have unlimited potency are called Swamsha, and forms that have limited potencies, the living entities, are called Vibhananangsha. Eka Iswarup Dohe Bina Matsakai Adyakai Vyuha Krishna Lila Rasahai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These two are one and the same identity. They differ only in form. Lord Balaram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Balaram is a Swamsha expansion of the Lord, and therefore there is no difference in potency between Krishna and Balaram. The only difference is in their bodily structure. As the first expansion of Godhead, Balaram is the chief deity among the first quadruple forms, and he is the foremost assistant of Sri Krishna in his transcendental activities. Shri Krishna Navadipe Shri Caitanya Chandra Shri Balaram Shange Shri Nityananda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram appeared with him as Lord Nityananda. Sankarshana Karana Toashai, Garbodashai, Chapayogdishai, Sheshascha Yasyam Shakala Sanitya. Dandakirama Sharanam Mamastu. May Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshana, Sheshanaga, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has recorded this verse in his diary to offer his respectful obeisances to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. This verse also appears as the 7th of the first 14 verses of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Shri Balaram Gosai Mula Sankarshana Pancharupa Darikarina Krishna Rasevana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Balaram is the original Sankarshana. He assumes 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna. Apanikarina Krishna Lilara Sahai Shishta Lila Karya Kari Dhari Charekai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of creation in 4 other forms. Shishyadika Seva Taragnar Palana Shesha Rupe Kare Krishnera Vivana Sevaka Shishyadika Seva Tar Agnaya Palana Shesha Rupe Kara Krishnera Vivada Sevana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He executes the orders of Lord Krishna in the work of creation and in the form of Lord Shesha. He serves Krishna in various ways. According to expert opinion, Balaram, as the chief of the quadruple forms, is also the original Sankarshana. Balaram, the first expansion of Krishna, expands himself in 5 forms. 1. Mahasankarshana. 2. Karnadakshayi. 3. Garbhodakshayi. 4. Shiradakshayi. And 5. Shesha. These 5 plenary portions are responsible for both the spiritual and material cosmic manifestations. In these 5 forms, Lord Balaram assists Lord Krishna in his activities. The first 4 of these forms are responsible for the cosmic manifestations, whereas Shesha is responsible for his personal service to the Lord. Shesha is called Ananta, or unlimited, because he assists the personality of Godhead in his unlimited expansions by performing an unlimited variety of services. Shri Balaram is the servitor Godhead who serves Lord Krishna in all affairs of existence and knowledge. Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is the same servitor Godhead, Balaram, performs the same service to Lord Gauranga by constant association. Sarva Rupi Asvadaya Krishna Sevananda Shri Balaram Gaura Shange Nityananda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. In all the forms, he tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. That same Balaram is Lord Nityananda, the companion of Lord Gaurasundara. Sata Shokera Artakari Chari Shloke Jate Danda Tato Jane Sarvaloke. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. I've explained the 7th verse in the 4 subsequent verses. By these verses, all the world can know the truth about Lord Nityananda. Maya tite vyapi vaikunta loke, punaishvarye shi chaturvyuha madhye, rupam yasyod bhati sankarshanakyam, tam shri nityananda ramam prapadye. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Shri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshana, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha consisting of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. This is a verse from Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami's diary. It appears as the 8th of the first 14 verses of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Katira para vyomi name dhamma Krishna vigraha jaiche babutyadi gunavan. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Paravyoma, the spiritual sky. Like Lord Krishna himself, it possesses all transcendental attributes, such as the 6 opulences. According to Sankhya philosophy, the material cosmos is composed of 24 elements, the 5 gross material elements, the 3 subtle material elements, the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, the 5 active senses, the 5 objects of sense pleasure, and the Mahatattva, the total material energy. Empiric philosophers, unable to go beyond these elements, speculate that anything beyond them must be avyakta or inexplicable. But the world beyond the 24 elements is not inexplicable, for it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as the eternal Sanatana nature. Beyond the manifested and unmanifested existence of material nature, vyakta is the Sanatana nature, which is called the Paravyoma, or the spiritual sky. Since that nature is spiritual in quality, there are no qualitative differences there. Everything there is spiritual. Everything is good, and everything possesses the spiritual form of Sri Krishna himself. That spiritual sky is the manifested internal potency of Sri Krishna. It is distinct from the material sky, manifested by his external potency. Now let's turn to the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter. And please go to verse number 16. 17, 18, Avyakta advyaktaya sarva prabhavantyarharagame ratyagame praliyante tatraiva vyakta samjike. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. There's no purport?
No, Mars, there's no purport.
Okay. Sugi, next. Bhuta gramas evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratyagame vashaparta prabhavatyaragame. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the revival of Brahma's night, they're helplessly annihilated. Purport. The less intelligent who try to remain within this material world may be elevated to higher planets, and then again must come down to this planet Earth. During the daytime of Brahma, they can exhibit their activities on higher and lower planets within this material world, but at the coming of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. In the day, they receive various bodies for material activities, and at night, they no longer have bodies, but remain compact in the body of Vishnu. Then again, they are manifest at the arrival of Brahma's day. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. During the day, they become manifest, and at night, they're annihilated again. Ultimately, when Brahma's life is finished, they are all annihilated and remain unmanifest for millions and millions of years. And when Brahma is born again in another millennium, they are again manifest. In this way, they are captivated by the spell of the material world. But those intelligent persons who take to Krishna consciousness use the human life fully in the devotional service of the Lord, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus they transfer themselves, even in this life, to the spiritual planet of Krishna and become eternally blissful there, not being subject to such rebirths. Sugi. Parastasma tu bhavo nyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yaksak sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashati. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Krishna's superior spiritual energy is transcendental and eternal. It is beyond the changes of material nature, which is manifest and annihilated during the days and nights of Brahma. Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in quality to material nature. Superior and inferior nature are explained in the 7th chapter, Sugiva. Avyakto shara ityuktastamahu paramam gatim yam prapya anivartante tadamara paramam mama. That which the Vedantas describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. Purport: the supreme abode of the personality of Godhead Krishna is described in the Brahma Samhita as Chintamani Dhama, a place where all desires are fulfilled. The supreme abode of Lord Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, is full of palaces made of touchstone. There are also trees called desire trees that supply any type of eatable upon demand. And there are cows known as Surabhi cows, which supply a limitless supply of milk. In this abode, the Lord is served by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmis, and he is called Govinda, the primeval Lord and the cause of all causes. The Lord is accustomed to blow his flute, Venum Kwanantam. His transcendental form is the most attractive in all the worlds. His eyes are like lotus petals, and the color of his body is like the color of clouds. He is so attractive that his beauty excels that of thousands of cupids. He wears saffron cloth, a garland around his neck, and a peacock feather in his hair. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives only a small hint of his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. A vivid description is given in the Brahma Samhita. Vedic literatures, Karta Upanishad 1.3.11, state that there is nothing superior to the abode of the Supreme Godhead, and that that abode is the ultimate destination. Purushan na param kinchit san kashta paramagati. When one attains it, he never returns to the material world. Krishna's supreme abode and Krishna himself are non-different, being of the same quality. On this earth, Vrindavan, 90 miles southeast of Delhi, is a replica of that supreme Goloka Vrindavan located in the spiritual sky. When Krishna descended on this earth, he sported on that particular tract of land known as Vrindavana, comprising about 168 square miles in the district of Mathura, India. One more. Purusha sapara parta bhakti labhyastvaranyaya yasyantastani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him. Purport. It is here clearly stated that the supreme destination from which there is no return is the abode of Krishna, the Supreme Person. The Brahma Samhita describes this supreme abode as Ananda Chinmaya Ras, a place where everything is full of spiritual bliss. All the variegatedness manifest there is of the quality of spiritual bliss. Nothing there is material. That variegatedness is expanded as the spiritual expansion of the Supreme Godhead himself, for the manifestation there is totally of the spiritual energy, as explained in chapter 7. As far as this material world is concerned, although the Lord is always in his supreme abode, he is nonetheless all-pervading by his material energy. So by his spiritual and material energies, he is present everywhere, both in the material and in the spiritual universes. Yasyantastani means that everything is sustained within him, within either his spiritual or material energy. The Lord is all-pervading by these two energies. To enter Krishna's supreme abode, or the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, is possible only by bhakti, devotional service, as clearly indicated here by the word bhaktya. No other process can help one attain that supreme abode. The Vedas, Gopal Tapani Upanishad 121, also describe the supreme abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eko Vashi Sarvaga Krishna. In that abode, there is only one Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose name is Krishna. He is the Supreme Merciful Deity, and although situated there as one, he has expanded himself into millions and millions of plenary expansions. The Vedas compare the Lord to a tree standing still, yet bearing many varieties of fruits, flowers, and changing leaves. The plenary expansions of the Lord who preside over the Vaikuntha planets are four-armed, and they are known by a variety of names: Purushottam, Trivikrama, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Rishikesh, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Sridhara, Vasudeva, Damodara, Janardana, Narayana, Vaman, Padmanabha, etc. The Brahma Samhita 537 also confirms that although the Lord is always in the supreme abode, Goloka Vrindavan, he is all-pervading, so that everything is going on nicely. Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuta. As stated in the Vedas, Shvetashvataru Upanishad 6.8 Parasa Shaktir Vividaya Vashuyate Sabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. His energies are so expansive that they systematically conduct everything in the cosmic manifestation without a flaw, although the Supreme Lord is far, far away. Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there are supreme personalities behind everything in the world. And there's a reason behind every realm of the world, a cause for it. There's also an overarching purpose to our lives. And the information that we're getting here is informing our intelligence about that purpose and how to attain it. So if one comes into the world in ignorance and then is educated with insufficient knowledge, andantama pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tatubuya evite tamoya uvidyayamrataha. That is avidya, information that only relates to the material elements and speculates that we're a product of the material nature, then there's no impetus to get out of the material world except for an abiding frustration with our dealings in the material nature, which is inferior to us. But there's no hope for getting out. So Krishna very kindly has given us in the Bhagavad Gita this clear understanding of the different realms. There is a supreme personality of Godhead, and the purpose of the entire creation is to glorify him and to worship him and to serve him. And in doing that, we feel supreme happiness. Just like in this world, we look for those that we can worship, that we can think of, that we can idolize. We need some person, whether it's a musician or a politician or some strong person, an athlete. I notice around my town, people wear the jerseys, that is the sports jerseys of their favorite athlete. And they think about him all day long. They have pictures of him on the wall. And other people enter into intense campaigns to elect their person as the supreme ruler of a country. And they'll fight to the death over, this is my person I've chosen. Musicians also become the cynosure of those who listen to their music and consider them to be the source of happiness because of their poetic lyrics and the tunes they play and so forth. So it's a quite natural phenomena because the soul is part and parcel of the supreme person and gravitates towards glorification because that's where we get our happiness from. We actually feel satisfied when we're appreciating the qualities in others because we then assume those qualities. We merge with them. We become absorbed in them. So the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is very natural, therefore, that when we find out about the source of all qualities, as Brahma says in his prayers to Lord Krishna, if we were to count the qualities of Krishna, we'd never come to the end. He said if scientists were able to count every grain of sand and every star in the sky, they still wouldn't be able to count all the qualities that Krishna has. So that gives us some place where we can repose our glorification, our appreciation, where we are eternally satisfied. We never come to the end of it. And also, don't you find it satisfying to know that there are various realms? This realm isn't the all in all. We're not simply stranded here. There are gradations within this world, but categorically, Krishna says they're not worth your trouble. Only to find a foothold in this world so you can get out and go to the spiritual world. That's the purpose of this entire material world. He categorically condemns it as a place of suffering. But there's another realm, and human beings have the capability uniquely to fixate on a higher goal and then practice to get there. So there's Sambandha Gyan, which we're getting today. And then there's Abhideya, which is the practice to get there. And once we're fixed on that clear understanding of the goal, and then we understand the practice, how to get there, then day by day we can make progress and feel satisfied. Also, Lord Nityananda is the maintainer of all these energies, and he's a person. And we find out from the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, he's Balaram, and he's also very merciful, especially merciful to those who take shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're given a special benediction of knowing the who's who in the spiritual world. That's what we get from the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. When I was reading those sections from the Caitanya Caritamrta, and it mentioned twice that this and the other verse were taken from Swarup Damodar's personal diary, I was thinking, wow, think of that. You know, you're not supposed to read other people's diaries. I hope you all know that. If you're taking care of somebody's house and they're away for the weekend, you don't go in their room. It's like, wow, I found their diary. I think I'll read it. In fact, most diaries have a lock on them because it's guyam, it's secret. That's for them. Or maybe they'll share it with a spouse or somebody else, but it's very private. So we can see from reading these transcendental literatures that we're getting to know the inner workings of the pure devotees' minds and hearts. What is in Swarup Damodar's diary? Well, Kaviraj Goswami opens it to us and says, here's what he wrote. Here's what's in his diary. You want to hear that? Only if you're a spiritual connoisseur do you want to hear that. Other people, nah, I'd rather watch Captain Kangaroo on television. But, oh, you don't know who that is? That was a childhood show when I grew up. The diaries of these pure devotees who are parishads, they're eternal associates of the Lord in the spiritual world, and we get to hear what's in them. And then they ostensibly leave behind very specific verses so that we can take advantage and find our way to the spiritual world. Hold on one second. So we have a few questions that have come up. And what it means to collect the dust of the lotus feet of devotees. Is this literally the dust in their feet and you need to approach them? Or is it hearing from them, glorifying them, or following their example or instructions? It's both. Really taking the dust from the lotus feet means to follow such personality and their instruction. But there is a case also for taking the dust. Actually, one time in Vrindavan, Prabhupada was going on a morning walk. I got to go on a few morning walks in Vrindavan, with the devotees following Prabhupada. One of them, I remember I didn't get to go on, and Prabhupada was going somewhere, and he got in his car. It was an ambassador, because all the cars were ambassadors at that time. And Prabhupada got in with a few devotees, and we were surrounding the car, and it pulled out, and there were some tire tracks in the sand of Raman Reti. It was right near the present temple. And then I remember the devotees going over and taking the sand from where Prabhupada's car, his ambassador, had gone. We took some handfuls of sand from the tire tracks. And of course, it's mentioned in the Caitanya Caritamrta that it's a powerful substance, the dust from the lotus feet of the devotees. It's actually mentioned someplace in Narottam Das Thakur's song. It's my 5 kinds of foodstuffs. So if you can take the dust from where a pure devotee has walked and smear it on your body, then you get benefit. You don't necessarily have to tell them, because if they walk there and then you take it from behind, then you're a transcendental thief and you've gotten some benefit. But also, it's not restricted to that. You're just like, okay, my business is done. And then the person says, please sweep the floor. And you say, no, that's okay. I already got the dust. So the dust also means to embrace the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tan sabare parari numora panchagras. These are my 5 kinds of footsteps. Srivas Pandit. Prabhu, thank you. And then Vaikuntha Nayaka says, we read about Param Gatim, supreme destination. Srila Prabhupada explained the supreme destination to be a geographical location, spiritual world, but could the supreme destination also mean a state of consciousness? And since Krishna says that having achieved the state, one never returns, can it also mean that having reached the state of pure devotion, irrespective of which planet one is in, he does not become a materialist? Well, there is a description of the locations. Goloka namni nijadamni tale tatasya devi mahesha harinam suteshu teshu te te prabhava nichaya vihitaschayena govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. And the realms are described as graded realms. You can have D grade. We live in a D environment. What grade do you give the material world? D. Do you want to live in the D grade or the A grade? There's an A grade, which is Goloka Vrindavan. There's graded realms, but there is also the state of consciousness. Narayana parak sarvena kutaschana pipyati swarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyarta darshina. The devotees of the Lord are not attached to any particular realm, because what they are attached to is doing service for the Lord in any place, whether it's Swarga or Naraka, heaven or hell. And to them, it's Tulya, it's equal, because of their consciousness. They find opportunity. As Prabhupada said, an adroit businessman can make money whether the stock market's going up or down. So similarly, the devotees are finding ways to serve Krishna wherever they may be. Similarly, as far as the material realm and the spiritual world and their connection, we find very detailed explanation of how when Vidura met with Uddhava and asked him about Krishna's pastimes, then Uddhava for a moment had to rest his consciousness away from the spiritual realm and come back into his body so that he could speak for Vidura's benefit and tell the pastimes. And so Prabhupada mentions there that the devotee lives in both realms at the same time. And this is also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's description of how when the Bhakti Lata creeper grows from the heart of the devotee is in the material world, but is also simultaneously in the spiritual world at the same time. However, the distinctions are made between Vrindavan, Boma Vrindavan, and the material and spiritual worlds. But for a devotee sometimes will say, I don't want to go anywhere else except the material world because I want to stay and preach Krishna consciousness. Some devotees are inclined to stay in this world and preach Krishna consciousness, but they're always with Krishna because they're fully connected in their consciousness. And then it was mentioned about the Sankhya philosophy that it deals with the 24 elements of the material world. It did not have any reference to soul or supreme personality of Godhead. So is this referring to the atheistic Sankhya philosophy that Srila Prabhupada refers to, as opposed to the actual Sankhya of Kapila and Dave and third canto? That there are different ways of counting. And Krishna brings this up in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam when he talks about Sankhya. He said different Sankhya philosophers categorize the energies in different ways. He said, so don't be bewildered by that. It's just an arbitrary way of categorizing the different energies. And some count it in one way and some count it in another. But there is an atheistic Kapila who counted all the material elements and didn't include the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We don't do that. So the soul and the is actually part of the counting, because that's what animates everything. Chitralekha Saki says in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's written that Lord Brahma lives for 100 years, and it also says that he meditates for 100 Divya years before starting his service of creation. Please let me know how we can understand this. The different divisions of time mentioned. I'll look into the commentary there and see if there's anything specifically mentioned about that. It usually has to do with just different ways of describing units of time when there's some discrepancy like that. Pavitra Renu says a couple of verses from the personal diary of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Does it mean he authored those verses personally, and could they be verses from other literatures? It means that he authored them personally. He wrote them. He wrote those verses, as did Rupa Goswami write original verses that are now part of the Gaudiya Vaishnava canon, very important verses that describe the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his various moods and relationships and so forth. You'll find in the beginning of the Adi Lila the description of how Srila Rupa Goswami had understood the mind of Lord Chaitanya, his mind and heart. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. See, this verse says that Rupa Goswami understood his heart, his purpose, what was his mission. And therefore he wrote about it. And he took that verse and he put it in the thatch on the top of his hut. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming back from bathing in the sea, he pulled out that palm leaf upon which the verse was written, and he read it and he was very surprised. How did he know my mind? How did he know my heart? This is the prerogative of the pure devotees. They actually know the heart of the Lord, and they reveal to us. They reveal to the world. That's what revealed scriptures are. What is the mood and what is the intention of the Lord? And they write it. And Mahaprabhu was surprised, and he, out of love, he gave a kind of a slap to Rupa Goswami and said, how did you know my heart? How did you know that? Who could know that? So that's the power of devotional service. If you love somebody so much, if you love Krishna with all your heart, you don't have any motive for worshiping him, then Krishna is controlled by that love. Jnane priyasam namanta eva jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiya vartam stani stita shrutigatam dhanavan manobhir ye prayaso jita jito pyasitais trilokyam. If you dedicate yourself to worshiping the Lord by hearing about him and not trying to crowbar your way in to the pastimes of the Lord. You just submissively hear and worship the sound vibration. Then gradually you'll be infused with the internal energy of the Lord. You'll be empowered by the internal energy of the Lord. So much so by that internal energy that Krishna reveals himself to you. Ajita, the ajita becomes ajita. It becomes conquered by that internal potency that you assume by your practice of submissive hearing. And so the devotees are privy to the Lord's heart. And that's how they worship him with finesse, is because they know what he wants. And out of love, they're always trying to serve him, understanding what his heart is. Look, we got Sri Madhava Mahotsava here. He writes a question. And it says, I was reading Caitanya Caritamrta translation with my son, and I noticed that Kaviraj Goswami loads the scientific knowledge about the Panchatattva at the beginning chapters, ADI, before getting into the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. What does ADI mean? Oh, Adi Lila. Sorry.
Maharaj.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. Is that like a filter? Is that like filter mind boggle the insincere, atheistic, so that only the qualified can enter into the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya? Well, Sri Caitanya Caritamrta is known as the postgraduate study, because we've had Bhagavad Gita undergraduate, Bhagavatam graduate, then you've got your Caitanya Caritamrta postgraduate. So it's not meant to boggle the minds, but it's giving the sambandha, the clear understanding of how it all works. Because as Prabhupada said, religion without philosophy is sentimentality, and philosophy without religion is just mental speculation. So Siddhanta Bolya Chitana Kara Alash Iha Hoite Krishna Lagi Sudrid Manash. Kaviraj Goswami is asking in his dialogue, it's a didactic. He's giving the dialogue between Krishna and Brahma in the first section of the Adi Lila, asking all these questions. How could this be? How could that be? How are you the supreme person? How are you not the supreme personality? Actually, Krishna is arguing against his being the supreme personality. I'm not God. I'm a cowherd boy. What are you talking about? And within this dialogue where Kaviraj Goswami is saying there's all these questions people have. Well, wait a minute. Narayan has 4 hands and Krishna has 2. Narayan must be the supreme. So what's up with that? One question after another, like a purva paksha. You put the argument against it. You play devil's advocate. You say this, and then you answer it. And then Kaviraj Goswami says, Siddhanta Bulya Chitana Kara Alash. He said, this is a matter of not being lazy. He said, you have to lean into this philosophy and come to a siddhanta. Siddhanta means not just what something is, but also what it isn't. It's very precise. So what he's saying there is, Iha hoite Krishna laged sudrad manash. Your mind becomes firmly determined when you have that siddhanta. So that's why Prabhupada told us, these books are not just for selling. You have to actually read them. And how much do you have to read them? A lot. You should read them a lot. The more you can read and hear these books, then the more you become sudrad manash, the mind becomes fixed. So Kaviraj Goswami is doing everyone a favor. He's explaining why this is true. It's not just some sentimentality. It's not just Leela. Although for those who are advanced, they can jump right into the Leela. But, this was compiled specifically to establish the Sampradaya and teach how Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it needs to have all the logic and argument to establish this clear Sampradaya of worshiping and Siddhanta, that the Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead? How does it relate to all the other Shastras and so forth? Somebody may not have the context of that until they've gone through the Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, kind of training and understood, oh, what is the way of ascertaining the absolute truth? What are forms of evidence that can be accepted, and so forth? Like when people argue, show me God, give me some evidence. Then we first have to say, what will you accept, sir, as evidence? Let's establish the ground rules and say, what will you accept as evidence? We have to establish that first. So in that mood, many of the Shastras go through this exhaustive process of presenting logic, pramanam, epistemology, and so forth. For instance, in the Sandarbhas, the first Sandarbha, the Tattva Sandarbha, really establishes how we know what we know. What's the epistemology behind this system? And, how, in a scientific community, you have to have an established way of proving something. You have to have axiomatic truths and a process that you agree upon. Otherwise, it's just willy-nilly and everyone argues back and forth their own point of view. So that's the spirit of it in the Caitanya Caritamrta. It's a Shastra that is establishing this particular understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it includes all the details so that a real student of this can lean into it and have full understanding of how Lord Chaitanya is God. Thank you very much, Sri Madhava Mahotsava. So good to see you. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we came to the end of the questions, and now we can have our Guru Puja. And we'll go back onto the Jamulus for this. Namasheshtam manamapi shachiputramatra surupam Shirupam tasya grajam uruporim maturim goshtavatim Radhakundam yidivaramoho radhika madhavasham Prapto yasya patitikripaya shri gurum tam bhatosmi Hey Guru Jnanada Dinabandho Swanandadata Kurunaika Sindho Vrindavana Sinahitavata Prasida Radha Pranaya Pracharo Hey Dinabandho Kurunaika Sindho Kuru Prasada Mayimanda Mudhe Laksha Parade Bahupapagade Tatpada Padme Stumatishta Krishnane I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Sudamara, Rupa Goswami, and his older brother, Sanatana Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radhakund and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth, From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy. The friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the earth. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bandambu Isavadana Jahara Prasare Bhai Bhavato Liyaja Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoy Te Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Koriya Oikya Padma Bhakya Chitete Koriya Oikya Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Koriya Oikya Arna Kori Ho Mani Asha Shri Guru Charani Ruti Eshe Uttama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Eshe Uttama Gati Che Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Che Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Dandi Loje Jadme Jadme Prabhu She Yagyan Hire Prakashita Prema Bhakti Ja Hoite Abhidya Vinasa Jate Prema Bhakti Ja Hoite Abhidya Vinasa Jate Hidegay Jahara Charita Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Kana Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deha More Pada Chaya Ebe Jash Kushu Tribhuvana Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Rishatarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Hari Bo Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Right back to Goloka. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Maha Mantra. Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Nambajan. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Hare Haraya Namah Krishna Yadhavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan. Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan. Shri Caitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita. Shri Caitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath. Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath. Ichai Gosar Kori Charana Vandan. Ichai Gosar Kori Charana Vandan. Jaha Hoite Vignanash Apishta Puran. Jaha Hoite Vignanash Apishta Puran. Ichai Gosai Jar Nui Tar Das. Ichai Gosai Jar Nui Tar Das. Tansabara Parinu Mora Punshagra. Tansabara Parinu Mora Punshagra. Tandira Charan Se sevi bhakta saniba. Janame hoye abhilash. Chai gosai jabe braje koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash.
Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash. Get ready.
Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash.
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Bhaja Vrindavan, Bhaja Vrindavan,
Bhaja Vrindavan, Bhaja
Bhaja
Vrindavan.
Vrindavan, Bhaja Vrindavan,
Bhaja Vrindavan, Bhaja Vrindavan.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pari Mojamiyama.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Majayama.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Kori Ash.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Padma Koriya.
Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narodamo Das.
Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottama Das.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Ramona chant.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Haribo, Haribo.
Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Hey,
Radha Govinda Gopala Hare.
Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare.
Govinda,
Radhe Gopala. Next. Radha Gopinatha.
Radha,
Kishore Kishori.
Radha Govinda,
Radha Govinda. Radha Gokulananda. Kishore Kishori.
Radha Giridhari,
Radha Giridhari. Radha Shama Sundar. Radha Madhav. Radha Rasbihari. Radha Gokulananda.
Radha Krishna Gopinath,
Radha Kishore Gopinath. Gandharvika Giridhari. Radha Madhusudana.
Radha Madan Mohana,
Radha Madamon Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Hey, Radha Gopala Hare. I say Shri Bhagavan ko mere parambar pranam hai. I say Shri Bhagavan ko mere parambar pranam hai. I say Shri Kanashama ko mere parambar pranam hai. I say Shri Kanashama ko mere parambar pranam hai. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo,
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Avantika Harmonium,
Haribo,
Monisha Kartos,
Haribo,
Brenda Flute,
Haribo,
Kishori Violin,
Haribo,
for the Hare Krishna singers, for the Hare Krishna dancers,
Haribo,
for everybody in Silicon Valley, for everybody in all of California, for all the poor people all messed up all over America, for people all over the world. God pray Manande. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo.
Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Sadhu Vrindavan on bass, clarinet. Haribo, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Vishpad Paramhamsa Vrivraj Kacharya Stotra Shri Shimad Pai Charanara Vindava Deveranta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Vrivraj Kacharya Stotra Shri Shimad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sugabo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokabina Shamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadvip Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Samba Beta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. Go pray Manande Hari Hari Bo. So lucky for us, we have a project to manage. Project mean Lord Chaitanya gave us he gave us chip in the big game. And so our chip in the big game is to use all our skills, talents to develop a system through which we can expand book distribution, expand devotee making, cultivating people so they come into the process of Krishna consciousness, and to export whatever we find all over the world to share with others. And we're the luckiest because we have this opportunity to do this together. This pretty much guarantees success. Those who follow Lord Krishna's instruction to teach Bhagavad Gita to others, and Lord Chaitanya's instruction to become a guru and to teach everyone you meet about the process of Krishna consciousness. This makes everyone who does this very dear to the Lord. If you do that, plus your personal sadhana, even a little bit throughout this one lifetime, just stay alive, stay out of moroseness as much as possible. Just try to stay engaged. Doesn't matter if you do it big or small, or even if you just stay part of the party somehow or other, carry water, that's good enough. That'll get you a perfection of the human form of life. So we can lean into this as hard as we wish and dedicate ourselves to transcendental book distribution more and more. Try to leave a legacy that will be read about for years to come in the Vaishnava literatures, that someplace on the earth there is a concerted effort amongst those who happen to be residents there at the time to come together in a community to not only distribute books, but to welcome people in and teach them the ways of devotional service just after they've read a line or a paragraph, so they can become devotees too. Also, that there was the best prasadam known to humankind. People came from miles around to taste the prasadam. That the kirtan was so sweet that no one could stop the kirtan. They would go on late into the night. People would always want to be there and hear the kirtan and dance. And that the dealings between the devotees were so nice. They honored one another as brethren, as practitioners of bhakti. And they treated each other as prabhus, masters. I'm your servant. They overcame whatever differences they had or squabbles by offering obeisances at the end and saying, Prabhu, I'm very sorry. Please accept my obeisances. Please forgive me for my offenses. They sat up when they chanted Hare Krishna in japa. They listened to the holy name intensely, and they read deeply of the Vaishnava scriptures. They could quote from every part of the Caitanya Caritamrta, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, the Shirsh Upanishad, Nectar of Devotion. They knew these backwards and forwards, and they were able to teach in a reasonable way so that people could understand this is a real tradition. And we have an opportunity to become such a place if we just apply ourselves again and again, trying to make each day better than the last. There are other options in the world. There are other places one can go, other jobs you can get. You can work for a bank. You can work for a big tall build a corporation in a skyscraper building, or you can become part of some revolutionary organization. There are unlimited options in the material world. But if you study carefully, you'll find there's no better option than serving Lord Chaitanya. Because I can guarantee you this, nobody's better than Lord Chaitanya. And if you just stick with him, you'll never go wrong. The smartest people who ever lived that came from the spiritual world said, there's nobody better than Lord Chaitanya. Just follow him. Do what he says, and your life will be perfect. In fact, if you just remember him, difficult things will become easy. And if you forget him, then easy things become difficult. So let's aspire to be that community, shining light. All of us from all over the world who have gathered here together to expand the Sankirtan movement collectively and make an astounding difference in the history of the world, following the footsteps of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. What do you think? Haribo! And now let's hear some announcements about how we're going to unroll this plan to become a shining beacon on the hill here and on this little tiny earth, so that all the demigods look down and say, what is going on down there? Tell us, Malini, what our plan is.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. All Gosha Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu, for such a beautiful message. We hope by your blessings that we can be an example as you envisioned at ISV. Prabhu, we have a couple of announcements today, but SKP Prabhu is on the call too. So, Prabhu, would you like to go ahead with the announcements, Prabhu?
You go ahead, Mataji. Chaitanya is behind.
Chaitanya's doing his bhajan.
So, Prabhu, we are doing our calling party like we do every week, and our calling party has been very successful. We distributed again multiple Caitanya Caritamrta sets last calling party, and Kameshwari has an announcement to make for kids. So, Kameshwari, would you like to go now?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. I'll be quick. So I wanted to share something from the kids team. This Monday, we did a orientation for the kids, and his case, Madha Govinda Prabhu taught the kids. Now that our flip chart is ready for Caitanya Caritamrta presentation, how to present Caitanya Caritamrita, and after in the call itself, we had wonderful discussions for the kid. And during the week, in the call, when we asked, how do you feel about it? How would you like to do distribution of Caitanya Caritamrita? And Ananya, she said that I would like to do 5 CC sets. And Akshay said, I think I can. I don't know about 5, but I'm sure I can do more than 1. So like that, a lot of kids came in, and they showed the interest that they are interested and they would do. And I wanted to share that Ananya actually distributed 5 CC sets just this week, just her sankalpa. And all glories to Nidhi Mataji. Ananya did it all by herself. I just wanted to call for Ananya quickly to share how she did it, so that she can speak up and share with all of us. Ananya, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ananya. So Ananya is 9-year-old, and Ananya, one thing I wanted to ask is just share with everybody what you're saying about Caitanya Caritamrita when you speak with people over the phone or Zoom call. Just quickly, if you can share.
So I have classes with my friends, and then I tell them the stories about the Caitanya Caritamrita, like the Kirchur Gopinath and Sakshi Gopal. So they were happy, and they asked questions like, who is Kaviraj Goswami, and who is Chaitanya, and then I explained them. They all liked it and happily accepted the Caitanya Caritamrita.
Thank you so much. And there are 4 more weeks. And how would you like to spend the rest of the weeks till God Purnima?
I had just got this blessing from Vaisesika Maharaj, so I could only do this.
So Mataji was telling that, Mama, I want to speak to more of your friends. 4 more weeks are there, 5 more weeks are there, and please connect to more of your friends. I would talk to them. That's what Mataji was telling me. So yes, Prabhuji, so we will, all the kids will be trying. And thank you so much, Ananya, for joining.
Mataji, I have a question for Ananya. Ananya, which story is your favorite in Caitanya Caritamrita?
Kirchur Gopinath.
And thank you, Ananya. Yeah, kids are very good with the stories. I wanted to request blessing for all the devotees assembled, and as your Vaisesika Prabhu kids are making a presentation today to Seattle devotees on how to present Caitanya Caritamrta. So please bless them so that they can inspire Sankirtan far and wide, and especially Caitanya Caritamrta for this MSL. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kameshwari. Prabhu, I've noticed that Ananya is there in all the calling parties. She comes there, she stands, and then she asks her mother, please give me some of your contacts. And this she has been doing even for the Bhagavad Gitas also. And now she moved on to Caitanya Caritamrita. And I'm sure she's preparing to do that, the same thing for Bhagavatam after Gaur Purnima. Right, Ananya? Thank you so much, Ananya. And
You know, in the pastime
yes,
of Krishna stopping the Indra Yagya, he was a child. He was a little younger. He was about 6. And he came and talked to Nanda Baba and all the residents of Vrindavan. And both Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and others, acharyas, say that when a young person, when a child comes and speaks high philosophy, then everybody becomes fascinated. So these children are not ordinary. Ananya is not ordinary. She's a devotee, and therefore in her heart she is attached to Krishna. But it's very powerful when you're young like that, you're a child, and then you speak something's philosophy. It makes people realize, like, why aren't I doing this? And it becomes much more palatable hearing from children. So children are very good at spreading the Sankirtan movement. And it's a revelation, Kameshwari, that you've facilitated all over the world. You've pioneered this effort. So thank you, Ananya, and thank you very much, Kameshwari, and all the kids who have dedicated your life to this process of spreading Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Those were the highlights, Prabhu. That's all from Sankirtan.
Okay, now we have a few comments from the Bhakti community. As when the other morning at 3:30 a.m., I gave a fairly lengthy, hour and a half presentation to the full GBC body of ISKCON. I do it every year, usually in Mayapur, because that's the first thing that's mandated to hear for the GBC meetings. These are the plenary sessions, the annual general meeting. And so when I spoke about book distribution, everyone was there fascinated to hear about the expansion of book distribution. In fact, they were amazed at how big a year we had in 2020. Some of them didn't know even. I had polls written into the discussion. So before I announced the actual number of sets we distributed, I had a little poll that said, how many do you think we did in 2020? 7,000, 14,000, 24,000, and only half of them got it right. So it was a revelation for them. But the reason I bring this up as a segue into Bhakti community is that many of them were asking throughout my presentation, what about follow-up? What about follow-up? What about follow-up? How do you follow up? It's become a consistent request everywhere that I present. And I felt very happy that I was able to say, yes, we have a comprehensive presentation to give you on follow-up. I'll give you just a taste of it right now. And when I showed them Bhakti community, they were extremely impressed and happy. And so this is an idea whose time has come. We're working it into our culture here and finding a way forward. It's a new entity. And so one of the ways in which we can help expand is, by opening our minds and hearts to see how it can fit in, how we can get everybody accommodated. And I can say that being on the Bhakti community calls, when new people come on, isn't this true? Some of you who are on these calls, when the brand new people that just came off of work at Walmart come on the call, and they're hearing Krishna consciousness for the first time. We're hearing it for the first time too, through their ears. And it brings the meaning of these classes and to a new level as we're experiencing how tender are their hearts, how open they are to Krishna consciousness, how necessary it is, and how not to take it for granted. So this is the next announcements are about the practicalities. Sri Krishna Purushottam, do you have your hand up?
Sorry, let me lower down.
Oh, okay. So now, yes, Prabhu, say.
Prabhuji, just I want to share one nectarian about Caitanya Caritamrta, Prabhu. But anybody in other communities also we can reach. Like if we go to Sri Vaishnava community, so I reached out to Narsimha Prabhu. He said that, can you give me a reference where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the South Indian, the Yatra? Then I told him, Mahaprabhu visited even Sri Rangam. He stayed in 4 months in Venkatabhatta house. Now all these pastimes, if you narrate to the children, to the people, if you know outside of the community, they are appreciating Prabhu. And he took the set and he paid via our Gmail, PayPal. So I think reaching out to the extended community for Caitanya Caritamrta, it will help us, Prabhu. So just
How many sets do we have?
We have to do every week 5 sets, Prabhu. So.
How many do we have in inventory?
Prabhu, we have enough, Prabhu.
I know, but how many is it? Hundreds? 500 only. 500 only. Okay. And what about the BBT? Do you know how many they have?
Don't know.
Okay. All right. So no book left behind. 500. 500 is nothing, especially with Ananya on our team. 500 sets is nothing. Hare Krishna. Now we have Jai Madhava Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to invite Akshay Prabhu. Akshay Prabhu has been going out for book distribution, and he has been introducing Bhakti community when he's giving books out. So Akshay Prabhu, do you want to maybe share what your experience has been and how people have responded so that we can all also pursue the same?
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you for the opportunity, Hare Krishna. And thank you for encouraging me, Prabhu. So yes, Prabhu, I go with the Caitanya Prabhu and Krishna Prabhu, mostly with books, and I've been doing what they do and what they have taught. So we, Caitanya Prabhu and Krishna Prabhu, have created small templates of messages, like simple messages like how are you, thank you for accepting the books, and I hope you are doing well, like simple messages. And I mostly use those messages which they send. But they are really powerful. And we also attach the clips which Bhakti community teams has created. These are very powerful, I would say. I have personally I've just followed up with few people, and like Eduardo and another person, Pablo, and these two actually joined the Bhakti community call recently. So, and I've seen the power of clips. These clips are really powerful. Many of other people also who are not able to join find the clips very helpful. So I would say, and these are clips actually, again, I've taken what Caitanya and Krishna Prabhu generally send. So that has been my experience.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for giving this to all the newcomers. Like, we have seen quite a few people joining. It's because of the endeavors and effort that the personal care that you have been putting in, because it's Krishna consciousness is all about giving personal care, and that's what you, Caitanya Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu, you all are pioneering. So thank you for doing that, and we are seeing more and more people coming. So please keep them coming. And and in case others have any questions, please do reach out to them, how they are doing it. They will help you out also. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that. And I also wanted to invite Sri Madhav Mahatsav Prabhu. Are you there, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. We're here.
Yeah, thank you for Hare Krishna. If you can share how you are sharing Bhakti community, Prabhu, that will be very helpful for us.
Yes, sometimes it cuts a little bit Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Harshna, dear devotees. So what we've been doing is we have this pamphlet. We put Bhakti community sticker right there on the on-chant pamphlet, not covering devotees. There's a space where the gutter is. It's just like an empty space. We just put it there because inside the pamphlet it's totally full. And then on a small book like Beyond Birth and Death, on the inside we put the Bhakti community sticker right there. And the strategy has been with COVID is get a first class speaker and play some kirtan on it like that, and dance with kirtan, and go play the mridanga, and I sing along in the chorus. And then we keep the pamphlet like under the arm and or behind the sign, not telegraphing. Then when the other people are showing signs of interest, either they're smiling and dancing along with you, some action, or taking photographs, or give a thumbs up. Sometimes they give like this, like the music. Then immediately you just hold out like this, hold out pamphlet like that, and then they can take it right out of your hands like that. So the result is, in the last weeks, our team distributed 650 literatures like this by the mercy of Gurudev and all the devotees. So all the lectures must have the community sticker. And this is I recommend the JBL Extreme speaker, put nice on. I know another devotee who's doing it, Ram Krishna Prabhu as well. He's doing 100 pamphlets a week with the Bhakti community sticker, and he's not playing instrument. He's simply dancing his arms to the music, to the speaker, and then all the kids come over and they dance and clap their hands, and the adults they follow him, and then immediately just put the bowl in their hand, and that's it. Very bowl. That's the strategy.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much for what you're doing every week, going out and sharing so many stickers and giving it out to so many people. So thank you for pioneering this new kind of distribution. Thank you so much for sharing that. So those were the quick announcement today for Bhakti community.
Thank you very much, everybody. And thanks for joining us for the extended morning program. You're all stalwarts. There's no doubt about that. Sharira Dvijajam Jyotindriya Tahika Jime Vishaya Shagare Dharmadye Didvayati Loba Sudurmati Take Jeta Kartita Samshare Krishna Boda Doya Kori Bare Jivajai Saprasad Diloba Kayanamrita Bhao Radha Krishna Gunaga Premedako Shri Caitanya Nita Premedako Shri Caitanya Nita Machare Govinde Namamrami Vaishnave Solpa Punyavatam Rajan Vishvaso Narjayate Prasade Sarva Dukana Hanirasyo Pajayate Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Uddharya Vachishkate Tvayopa Bhukta Srakanda Asalankara Charchita Uchishta Bhujino Dasas Savamayam Jaye Mahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasada Ki Gaura Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Please come take prasada. Hari Bol. Tamarind rice. idli, dosa, fluffy white rice with ghee and chapatis, bitter melon, shak, rabri, rasgulla, sandesh. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Can everyone unmute, please, and say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Pitrubhyascha kripasando vyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nantakari Vaishnavini ki jai ho. Gaur Premanande Haribo, 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 Haribo.